Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 for this news report today. My website is ggnonline.com. If you'd like to visit, you can subscribe with your email there. Also, you can check out all the videos I've done in the last 2 or 3 years. Okay, so on YouTube, my channels are ddarko2012 and ddarko2013 is my backup, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to cover and continue with the economy, and it says here, this is where we left off. We're talking about New York Times newspaper defending the Fortune 500's global human exploitation, talking about sweatshops in Asia and Walmarts and Targets flooding the market with cheap goods. So, and we also talked about this. Halloween decorations was carrying a haunting message of forced labor. Pretty eerie. Basically, a letter from a slave worker, basically sweatshop worker in Asia, and she got it in a little Halloween kit from Kmart, saying, "Please help me." We talked about desperate shoppers reaching out to get their hands on discounted perfume during, I guess, Boxing Day. Maybe that's like their Black Friday or something like I think Americans are going to be having here. So it's the same thing all around. This is what Edward Bernays talked about, living in a mass democracy. Well, it's not really democracy, but it's a scientific dictatorship to make you think that you have a choice, that it's a democracy. And the best way to do this is to keep people distracted with not wants, or not with needs, but with desires, with wants. So you don't just get what you need, you get what you want. Shoppers, and of course they tell you what you want, and they do that with all of this propaganda. That's what they call public relations and advertising, and they use psychology to do it. And most people don't know that they're actually being victimized by that stuff. Shoppers disappoint retailers this holiday season, so they can come out with crappy articles like this, telling you that you disappointed Kmart and Walmart, who use sweatshop workers and stuff like that, and exploit their workers overseas to provide these cheap goods that people can go and act like animals over. So I guess it's too bad, right? You should feel bad. U.S. consumer confidence falls amid fiscal cliff fears. So a lot of this fiscal cliff fear, they're actually invoking fear right now that the world's going to come to an end. I've mentioned this many times before, that things will probably actually get better. They'll get kind of bad at first because you'll lose your standard of living, but you're going to lose it anyways. You're already losing it. So if you were to just detach yourself from the system, like that one lawyer, that law student who said they were naive, she says, "Man, I believed in the system." So if you don't believe in it anymore, you detach yourself from it as much as you possibly can. I don't know how possible that is when we're just, you know what I mean? We're in a slave system, and people want answers, and they're going to the same sources that help enslave them, the media, the governments, and stuff like that. And they go to them for the solutions and try to, writing petitions to the White House. I mean, give me a flippin' break. Like, they're going to really respond to those petitions. Really, what I think as far as solutions go is it has to be, there has to be just kind of a mass awakening. And I hate using that term because it's so used by alternative media truthers and new agers and stuff like that. But it needs to just really need to catch wind like fire. And then people can just do it all at once. When things get bad enough, instead of just like in the Depression era, what did they do? You know what I mean? A lot of people went to they called it black market. That was actually the free market and stuff like that. The whole revolution, American Revolution, they had an opportunity there too to detach from the system. They didn't. So we'll have an opportunity to do that. And when it gets bad enough, hopefully people will know, turn to different solutions this time. U.S. consumer confidence falls, and it says that they're driven lower by fears of sharp tax increases and government spending cuts set to take effect next week. So then we have a poll says majority expect recession in 2013. So what about the jobless benefits and stuff like that? Unemployment was going down. So, I guess it was a sign that things were going to get better. So, and of course, this is all based off this stupid fiscal cliff thing that they're saying. A full 70% of voters told a conservative-leaning pollster that they expect a recession next year if Congress fails to stop the tax increase. So and spending cuts that are set to begin in January. So these were band-aids that were put on the economy. These were part of the knobs and dials and buttons that were pushed and turned to keep your standard of living going, and the cheap goods from slave labor flowing to keep you distracted from actually wanting real change. Basically what they're saying is they're holding your standard of living hostage, blackmailing you basically. Well, if they fail to stop the tax increases, blah 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 blah, we're gonna be in a recession. Well, there's a good chance for most people that we've kind of already been in a recession. The only growth has been a lot of it overseas and big corporations and stuff like that. But for the average person, I don't think there's been much growth, which is what a recession means. So like I said before, your standards of living are going to go down anyways. So you might as well just try some new solutions here. But they're trying to say that, we're going to get out of recession if we do this, by turning the dials even more and putting your future of your children and the future basically put them basically in bondage without their say. That's the right thing to do. It says 2 million will lose jobless benefits if Congress fails to act. So see, you're going to leave these people jobless and without help if you don't ask for the government to do something. So see, they want you to act. They're asking you. They're engineering your consent to do something. So why can't we do something that helps them get a job, right? No, it's about Band-Aids to keep the system going, keep people distracted. Milk prices could hit $6 a gallon without farm bill resolution. So again, we need more legislation to reduce prices. And the biggest joke of all is that the federal government has a war on local farmers providing healthy milk. All this milk, you couldn't pay me to drink it. The amount of crap that is in there, I'm not going to go through it because I don't want you to, if you're eating, lose your meal or something like that. But it's pretty bad, and I think it's just kind of more of a weapon, a eugenics weapon more than anything. And the beef industry, like the dairy industry, like I said before, they're huge complexes. They rely on the government, like farm subsidies and farmers and agricultural stuff. So it's totally non-free market. So that's why they would have to go back to the government, because it's the government that creates these artificial low prices, because they have monopolies and there's not really too much competition, and it's heavily regulated. When you go to those different complexes, they are kind of run like military, right? They're run kind of like military complexes and defense complexes. So it's not a fiscal cliff; it's a descent into lawlessness. So I don't really like that term, because lawlessness makes it sound like it's that's a stateless society or anarchy where there could still be a common law. So it says here the fiscal cliff is a myth. So it's not a tax or spending problem, it's a de-evolution into lawlessness. Some people say it's a spending problem, they spend too much. And it's so crazy how they twist this, especially in conservative radio. You hear them saying, well, it's a spending problem. And, it's like, yeah, what about the defense contractors? What about all the money that goes to Israel to fund their military? What about all the money that goes to pharmaceutical companies? I could just keep going on and on and on and on. But they rather make it about social welfare without talking about corporate welfare. In many situations, austerity programs are imposed on countries that were previously under dictatorial regimes, leading to criticism that populations are forced to repay the debts of their oppressors. It says, indeed, the IMF has already performed a complete audit of the whole U.S. financial system, something which has only previously been done to broker third world nations. Economist Mark Faber calls the U.S. a failed state. He says, indeed, we no longer have a free market economy. We have, quote, fascism, communism, communist-style socialism, kleptocracy, oligarchy, or banana republic-style corruption. So you'll see what'll happen. They'll make a big deal out of this, and they'll say, "Oh, they'll pass this thing," and it's not going to be good for anybody. Well, I mean, it may be good for some parties that run the government or the corporation, but they'll say, "Oh, we came together, bipartisanship, the left and the right, Republicans and Democrats worked in the interests of the American people, but you're going to have to work together. You're going to have to bite the bullet." That's what they're going to tell you. Chicago to claim unfortunate parking record. As of January 1st, its downtown meters will charge the most in the country. So it says here in the downtown Loop area, begin charging $6.50 an hour, up from $5.75 an hour. The company that operates the meters plan to have all machines set to new rates by the end of February, and former Mayor Daley got the city council to approve the company's 75-year contract in 2008. In return, the city got $1 billion payment, much of which has already been spent. Then we have couple with disabled boy slapped with 70-pound parking ticket as they carried him to the car outside their home. They've been fitting special splints to the son, 4 years old. Their temporary restrictions have been imposed outside their home. Their counsel refused to appeal because their case lacks any merit. So, despite pleading with the warden to use some common sense, the ticket stood. So that's real nice. Bosnia and EU complete bilateral negotiations, talking about going into IMF receivership. The European Union and Bosnia have completed bilateral negotiations on specific tariff and non-tariff measures to be included in the nation's protocol of accession, a list of commitments the country has to make in return for membership of the World Trade Organization. Because if you're not in it, then, good luck. Families hit after supermarkets hike budget food prices by as much as 110% in just a year. It says millions have traded down to value supermarket lines to save money, but these products have posted the biggest price hike over the past year. Supermarkets say despite price rises, products are as popular as ever. So families relying on supermarket budgets ranges to make ends meet are suffering some of the steepest food price hikes, research reveals. The big supermarket chains have increased the price of more than 40% of their own label budget lines in the past year, and compared with items of other ranges, the markup is far higher, often more than 20%. And you can see the, if you go in there, the link will be posted, the percentage of increases from the year 2011 to 2012. There's been looting at several supermarkets in Argentina. There's 2 dead, hundreds arrested, and the military has been deployed. As looters broke into the supermarkets in several cities, stirring memories of the country's devastating economic crisis 11 years ago. It says when you see that they're taking flat screens, you know it's not hunger. So that's the first thing I thought. They said they were storming the supermarket, made off with flat screen televisions and goods. This is what happened in the UK as well. And we're talking about economic recovery, more homeless young adults, the tens of thousands of underemployed and jobless young people, many with college credits or work histories, are struggling to house themselves in the wake of the recession, which has left workers between the ages of 18 and 24 with the highest unemployment rate of all adults. They say they're an elusive group that basically is hoping to avoid the lasting stigma of public homelessness during what they hope will be a temporary predicament. Those who can move back home with their parents, the so-called boomerang set, are the lucky ones. The young adults are the new face of a national homeless population. Caseworkers say that it's growing, and yet the problem is mostly invisible. Says most cities, states focus on homeless families have not made special efforts to identify young adults who tend to shy away from ordinary shelters out of fear of being victimized by an older, chronically homeless population. Hunger and homelessness rise dramatically in the United States, says a study. Said they're on the rise in the U.S. and cash-strapped cities, and social services are being forced to turn needy people away empty-handed, a study published Thursday. Yeah, it does suck too, because everything is marked off, zoned, and divvied off. That's why you have fences even in the desert. In Australia, I think there's 3,000-mile long fence. It's one of the longest fences in the world. Everything is sectioned off and owned privately or publicly and stuff like that. So you can't just be a nomad. You can't roam to go and eat bark and forage off off the earth and stuff like that. Cops see you doing that, man, you're gonna get busted. They'll throw you in jail. You can be, oh, great, but it's not going to be great. You don't want to go in the back of the squad car and go in the jail and stuff like that. The harsh truth is that we're not free. And people can try to convince themselves that they're free, but they're not. And like I said, until there's a mass awakening where people can just let go of the system, maybe we could become free and not be coerced into doing everything. What sucks about homelessness is that there's a lot of people, especially, in the capitalist society, as they say, just in most of the economies are the same now, is that if you're homeless, you're a failure. You're a failure, and you should almost wear that as a badge, because it's like it could be that you're a failure, but it could also mean that you're just not going to participate and be coerced into this system anymore. We have U.S. postal workers go on a 6-day hunger strike. It says It says that 13,000 jobs have already been eliminated in a bid to rescue the USPS, which is reported losing up to 25 million per day. They want to close half the facilities and cut hours by 25 to 75%. This is GGN. Thank you.